You keep telling yourself you're searching for your purpose, but what if you're not searching at all? What if you already know and you're quietly, skillfully, almost artistically avoiding it? Not because you're lazy, not because you're incapable, but because the truth asks something from you that comfort never will. There, as a moment, usually late at night when the noise fades. No notifications, no performances, no pretending. And in that silence a voice rises. It's subtle but relentless. It asks one question: why are you really here? And instead of answering, you reach for distraction. Another video, another scroll, another plan to figure it out later. This is not an accident. It's a defense mechanism. The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard once wrote that most people live in quiet despair, not dramatic despair, not visible despair, but the kind that hides behind productivity, routines, and acceptable excuses. A despair so well dressed it looks like normal life. You call it being practical. You called it being asleep. Let me tell you a story. In ancient Athens, Socrates would walk through the marketplace asking people simple questions. What is justice? What is courage? What is a good life? Powerful men, respected men, couldn't answer. They became irritated, then angry, then threatened. Not because Socrates insulted them, but because he exposed them. He revealed that they were confident without understanding, and people hate that feeling more than almost anything, because exposure feels like danger. You think your greatest fear is failure. It isn't. Your greatest fear is seeing yourself clearly, without your favorite excuses. Nietzsche warned about this when he said, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." But chaos is uncomfortable. So instead, most people choose order, even if it's a cage predictable. Misery feels safer than unpredictable transformation. Look at how you make decisions. Not the big ones you announce, the small ones you repeat. The way you delay difficult conversations. The way you choose familiar disappointment over uncertain possibility. The way you say, "I'm not ready," when what you mean is, "I'm afraid to be seen trying." This is what modern psychology calls avoidance coping. You don't run from pain, you run from identity risk. From becoming someone new, because becoming someone now means letting someone old die. Plato described this through the allegory of the cave. Prisoners chained inside a cave mistake shadows for reality. When one escapes and sees the outside world, the light hurts his eyes. Truth hurts before it heals. When he returns to tell the others, they reject him. Not because he's wrong, but because his disruptive awakening is rarely welcomed. Even by the one who awakens, here's the uncomfortable twist. Your mind is not designed to make you fulfilled. It is designed to make you safe. And safety prefers repetition over meaning. That's why you feel resistance right before growth. That's why the path that feels alive also feels terrifying. Your nervous system reads unfamiliar purpose as threat, so you negotiate with yourself. I'll start when I'm more confident. I'll speak when I'm more prepared. I'll change when things calm down. They won't calm down. Because the storm is internal. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, writing from a prison cell under Nazi rule, observed something disturbing, that stupidity is more dangerous than evil. Not low intelligence, but willful blindness. The refusal to question one's own assumptions. The comfort of mental laziness. He saw educated people become followers of destructive ideas, not because they were forced, but because they surrendered. Responsibility for thinking freedom is heavier than obedience, and you feel this weight every time you consider taking full responsibility for your direction. Responsibility means you can't blame your parents anymore, or your boss, or your pastor, the algorithm. Responsibility is terrifying because it removes your final hiding place. Machiavelli wrote that most people are more concerned with appearing virtuous than being effective. Today, we've perfected that illusion. You can look inspired without changing. You can sound wise without practicing wisdom. You can curate depth instead of living at appearance has become a substitute for transformation, but your inner life knows the difference. Have you noticed how exhausted you feel after pretending? Not physically, existentially. That drained feeling isn't from work. It's from misalignment. From playing a character too long. Carl Jung warned that what you do not make conscious will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Read that again carefully. Your hidden fears don't disappear. They steer. The rejected parts of you become your invisible drivers. The ambition you deny becomes envy. The anger you suppress becomes anxiety. The truth you avoid becomes numbness. Integration is painful, but fragmentation is worse. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with unlived decisions. Every time you say no to something that matters, a stone goes inside. Years pass. You call the weight life, but it was choice, repeated quietly. Here's another truth that rarely goes viral. Motivation is not the beginning of change. Clarity is. Motivation is emotional. Clarity is structural. When you see clearly enough, action becomes inevitable. Think of touching a hot stove. You don't need motivation to pull your hand away. You need perception. Most people don't change because they don't see, not because they can't act. So let's look directly. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not uniquely disqualified, but you are possibly addicted to postponement, addicted to the fantasy of future courage. Future courage is the most dangerous drug. It lets you feel brave today without doing anything. Brave today. The Stoics had a brutal exercise. Negative visualization. They would imagine losing what they loved, not to become anxious, but to become awake. Urgency clarifies values. If you lost your current path tomorrow, what would you regret not attempting? Not what sounds impressive. What feels necessary. There's a difference. Impressive is external. Necessary is internal. And here is the paradox. The life that fits you will often look inefficient from the outside. Deep work is invisible at first. Inner reconstruction has no applause track. Seeds grow in darkness, but darkness also tests sincerity. Are you willing to build without witnesses? To practice without recognition? To improve without announcement? Because if you only move when observed, you're not pursuing truth, you're pursuing approval, and approval is a currency that inflates until it's worthless. Let me give you a sharper edge. Some of your suffering is not trauma, it's avoidance. Not all pain is injustice. Some pain is instruction, a signal that you are living against your own grain. Modern culture tells you to eliminate discomfort. Philosophy tells you to interrogate it, ask better questions. What is this pain protecting? What truth does it point toward? What action does it demand? The universe, if you want to call it that, rarely answers through voices or signs. It answers through friction. through repeated patterns, through doors that close the same way, until you change how you knock. People want cosmic guidance, but ignore behavioral feedback. If every relationship feels the same, look inward. If every job feels empty, look inward. Patterns are messages written in events instead of words. You are not cursed. You are being instructed, but instruction requires participation. You cannot think your way into transformation alone. Insight without action becomes self-deception. Knowledge becomes anesthesia. Aristotle believed character is built through repeated acts, not intentions. You become what you practice, not what you plant. So here is the question that matters more than your goals, your plans, your 5-year vision. What are you practicing every day, unconsciously? Avoidance? Comparison? Distraction? Or courage in small doses? Because destiny is not a lightning strike. It is a habit pattern, and now the part most people don't want to hear. No one is coming to interrupt your avoidance. No mentor will appear at the perfect moment. No surge of confidence will carry you across the threshold. The door opens from your side, and it opens when you turn the handle. Not when you feel ready. Readiness is often a feeling that arrives after commitment, not before it. You are waiting for permission that only action grants. One day, not dramatically, not loudly, you will realize that the voice you've been ignoring is not going away. It will grow quieter, perhaps, but heavier. Regret is not sharp. It is dense, and when that day comes, the question will not be, why didn't I succeed? It will be far more piercing. Why didn't I try honestly when I knew? So tonight, when the noise fades again and the question returns, don't silence it, answer it, even if the answer scares you, especially if it does.